What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Man, oh man, week 3 of the NFL was quite the fun weekend. So we're going to get into this real quick. I'm going to give you my week 3 reactions as well as my week 4 predictions. I'm going to change up the format a little bit today. I'm going to try something a little different and maybe break up a little bit of the repetition of this channel, and we're going to see how this one works out for me. So diving right into my week 3 reactions. So on Monday Night Football, Dallas made it clear that they're clearly the NFC East favorites, as I predicted. They easily handled a pretty inept and pretty exposed Eagles team at this point. You know, coming off of back-to-back losses after a Week 1 win. I think it's pretty safe to say that given the rest of the teams in that division, like the Giants and the Washington football team, that I think it's pretty easy to say, like I predicted, Dallas is head and shoulders above everybody else. Now, what I want to say is their defense and coaching still, worries me. And it's not so much the defense as it is the coaching. I don't trust Mike McCarthy. He still made some blunders here and there that, just like I said, really makes me wonder about his coaching ability. But Dak looks great. That offense is really firing on all cylinders. And this week I actually have them beating the Panthers. But if the Panthers end up having another strong week like they did last week, it's going to make me reconsider, whether they're going to really be players in the postseason. And it's really going to show whether the Panthers are going to be players in the postseason as well. So that's one of my games that I have this week that I think is really going to show contenders versus pretenders. And with that said, I'm going to get into those other matches that this week I'm calling contenders versus pretenders matchups. And the first one is the Chargers and the Raiders in Los Angeles. Now, the Raiders, another solid win. I'm really, really impressed by what I'm seeing with the Raiders. Again, it comes back. I still have kind of the same reservations with their coaching, just like I do with the Cowboys, but they just keep winning. And it's like the old Al Davis thing for all you Raiders Nations people, just win, baby. So, and they keep doing that, and they're winning close games, which is a lot of times for teams like the Chargers and the Raiders, they've struggled, winning these close games, but both of them have done that so far this year, save for the Chargers when they lost in a close game against Dallas, which I thought they easily could have had. But I do think that this game is going to be so hard to pick because I do think the Raiders fans are going to turn that home field of SoFi Stadium for the Chargers into a essentially home game for the Raiders. Like, it's going to be bad. I mean, the Raiders fans are still very strong within the Los Angeles area, and the Chargers are still trying to establish that fan base after losing a lot of their fans that were in San Diego. So I do think, man, this is so hard to pick. I'm going to go on record and say the Chargers find a way to beat the Raiders, but I would not be the least bit surprised if that Raiders fan base that shows up to that game makes a difference, throws the Chargers off their games, and the Raiders win that. But if I had to pick, I just think that even though Derek Carr is playing at an extremely high level right now, I think that the Chargers have a more well-balanced offensive attack. So I do think, and I really love what I'm seeing from Justin Herbert, so I do think that the Chargers somehow find a way to win this game, but I would not be surprised if I'm wrong. This one is really hard to pick. The next one of my contenders versus pretenders games is the Broncos and the Ravens. Now, the Broncos are really, really good. Like I said, I keep saying about Teddy Bridgewater, can he be consistent? Can he be successful? Well, so far he has been. And that offense looks good with him. As long as he's not turning over the ball, he's looking really, really good. And that defense is elite. And we all know that defense wins championships. So the Ravens, they still look good, but there's some crucial factors about my reasoning for picking the results of this game. The Ravens were a NFL record setting field goal away from losing to the Lions. Okay? The Lions seem like they're figuring out some stuff, and I'll get to them a little bit later, but I do think that they are starting to figure some stuff out. And the Ravens sometimes seems like they've got a hit or miss type offense because they put up a bunch of points against the Chiefs, but they struggled to put up points against, the Lions. So I do think that them going into Mile High in Denver is going to be a little bit of an issue, and I do think the Broncos find a way to win that game. Now, if the Broncos end up wetting the bed in this game, it's really going to make me doubt whether they're contenders, and it's going to make me lean more towards pretenders, but I do think they're going to win this game. So with that, Broncos over Ravens in Denver. And the next game, we've got an NFC West battle. We've got the Seahawks and the Niners in San Francisco. The Seahawks are in trouble. I called this last week. I had a feeling the Vikings were going to take them down, and they did. They've really started to expose a little bit of those defensive struggles, and I called it. Like, I just knew that pass rush was going to get through to Russell Wilson, and that offensive line is letting him down yet again, just like he keeps saying over and over and over again. So, and as far as the Niners go, they really did not look good, in my opinion, in the first half against the Packers, but they came back, and Jimmy G did have a good second half. I know I've been pretty hypercritical of Jimmy G, but I do think that he did have a good second half. Like, him driving down the field and taking the lead in the last little bit of that fourth quarter to really put pressure on the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, that really gave me a lot of worry, because now I'm thinking, okay, maybe these 49ers are pretty good. But this outcome of this game is really going to show. If the Niners win, they're legit and we need to worry about them. If the Seahawks lose, then they are in serious, serious trouble. But I don't feel like I should bet against Russell Wilson 2 weeks in a row, so I am going to pick the Seahawks to beat the Niners in this game. It's going to be tough, it's going to be bloody, and I think the Seahawks somehow find a way to come out on top because there's a little bit more of desperation within the Seahawks coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. All right, and with that, I'm going to go into my thoughts on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers look like they're back on track. They've really got some offensive firepower going, and even though they did kind of stall out a little bit in the second half, that first half they looked so good. So Aaron Rodgers looks like he's got his stuff together. He really looked like he was super into it on the sidelines, especially at the end of the game. So it looks like he's really starting to button up whatever issues they had. But they got to keep their eyes on the Vikings. Like I was saying before, I think the Vikings are gaining momentum. And after a win against the Seahawks, they're riding high right now. Kirk Cousins is playing at a very high level right now. And so going into the Green Bay opponent for the week, we come to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now the Steelers are really starting to settle back into that role that I had picked for them in my preseason predictions. They're in trouble, guys. That offense does not look good at all. After the loss to the Bengals, that offense does not look good. Like I said before, Big Ben looks old. They need to figure some stuff out. They need to figure out maybe a way to get the running game going or something, or maybe some short passes over the middle or something, because for them to not be able to hang up a lot of points against the Raiders and now the Bengals as well, that's not good. So their defense, I still have faith in their defense, but if they want to get back on track and hang in there with teams like the Browns and the Ravens and now even the Bengals and not finish in last place in that division, they're going to have to figure something out. So, having talked about the Browns for just a second, I do worry about the Browns offense as well, because I'm worried that they're relying a lot on this ground game, but I'm worried about how Baker Mayfield's going to perform this week against the Vikings. And so with that, I've got my 2 predictions. I think the Packers are going to pretty handily beat the Steelers, and I think that the Vikings are going to beat the Browns this week. The Vikings have a lot of momentum, and the Browns are worrying me with their offense, so I'm going to take those two in that prediction. Now, the Bills. The Buffalo Bills, to me, in my opinion, if I had to do a power ranking of some sort or whatever, I would pick the Bills to be the number one team in the AFC right now. Given the struggles that the Chiefs are having, the Ravens are having, I think the Bills are the number one team right now. They thrashed Washington, even more than I expected, because I still think that the Washington defense can be good, but the Bills thrashed them for over 40 points. So, in my opinion, they're going to easily beat the Texans this week. If they keep on this track, I could see them hanging up another 40 points and Josh Allen really starts moving into that MVP conversation. And for last week's game of the week, okay, I waited to hear a lot of other professional sports commentators' takes on this game and the end result. I didn't want to seem biased, and I wanted to go in this with as much objectivity as possible. But having seen what every other professional sports commentator said, my Rams are looking like hands down the best team in the NFL right now. They smoked the Buccaneers. Don't let that last little touchdown drive to cut the lead to 10 fool you. The Rams, for the most part, dominated that game. The defense looks good. The running game was not 100% effective, but it was a lot better than I expected, and that passing game is ridiculous. Cooper Kupp, 5 touchdowns in the first 3 games. Are you kidding me? And I think Matt Stafford already has 9 touchdowns in the first 3 games, and he's already been named NFC Offensive Player of the Week again for the second time in 3 weeks. They're just firing on all cylinders. But what worries me is the Cardinals had another strong showing, and they are no longer the NFC West doormat. They are dangerous. And so they face off against each other this week in Los Angeles, and I do think that Kyler Murray is going to give the Rams defense quite a bit of trouble. But I do think the Rams win this game. I just don't think that Cardinals defense is going to be able to handle what the Rams are dishing out. I think the Buccaneers are better than the Cardinals. And even though the Cardinals are going to have a mobile quarterback that's going to give the Rams fits, I do think the Rams pull this out, and I think they stay undefeated. Now, I did talk about the Bucs. I want to talk about the Bucs a little bit more. They signed Richard Sherman. And I think that could possibly help them tighten up a little bit on defense because they are allowing a lot of points right now. But their schedule is incredibly easy. They still play in the NFC South where you've got the Jags, or not the Jags, I'm sorry, where you've got the Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons. Falcons don't look very good. The Panthers, I'm not sure if they're contenders or pretenders, so that is yet to be seen. But I still think they're the clear number one in that division. And they've got an incredibly easy schedule. I believe they play the AFC East, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to go this. With that said, they're going to play this week in New England. So Brady's going back to play the Patriots for the first time in Foxborough. And oh my gosh, he is going to kill the Patriots. He's going to murder them. It's going to be bad. I could see this being a bloodbath. Mac Jones does not look confident in that offense. And Bill Belichick, I think, is going to get embarrassed in this game. And he's going to realize that he was wrong about letting Brady go. So Brady's got such a chip on his shoulder. He wants this game bad. He's going to say everything that's politically correct to downplay this game. But I think he wants to rip Belichick apart and embarrass him to prove that he won the divorce and that Patriots dynasty was more off of his back than Belichick's. So I think the Bucs are definitely going to beat the Patriots this week. And so just to sum up the rest of my Week 4 predictions, I'm going to rattle these off real quick. Bengals and Jaguars in Cincinnati. I've got the Bengals beating the Jaguars in a showdown of two young quarterbacks. But I think that Bengals win. Saints are going to beat the Giants in New Orleans. Titans are really back on track. They look good. They're clear favorites in that division, in my opinion. So I think they're going to beat the Jets in New York. I think the Lions get their first win against the Bears right now. Bears don't look good. Lions had a tough showing against the 49ers and the Ravens, so I think that they get their first win this week. Washington football team, I think, is going to beat the Falcons in Atlanta. Colts are desperate, so I think that they're going to take it to the Dolphins and get their first win of the season. And the Chiefs, I think, are going to bounce back and beat the Eagles. So that is it for my reactions and for my predictions this week, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Thanks very much. Have a good day.